I will confess to you tonight that my sense of this Christmas season has had it's felt a little amiss. And to borrow words from How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I'm not quite sure the reason. It could be that Advent is so short, it's only 3 weeks this year. It could be perhaps that the weather is so warm and I'm used to snow. It could be that COVID numbers are starting to tick up again, or that the war in Ukraine grinds on, or the political chaos in our own country. But I think the most likely reason of all is the conflict that rages on in Israel, Palestine, and Gaza. More than 21,000 people killed. 20,000 of them in Gaza, 8,000 of them children, in the very land where Jesus was born. How do we celebrate Christmas with that knowledge in our hearts? Is Christmas canceled? No. Christmas is not canceled. We've said it before, and I'll say it again. The scary, turbulent, stirred up world that Jesus was born into is not unlike the scary and turbulent and stirred up world that we live in. The story of Herod's slaughter of the innocents, which comes right after the Christmas story in Luke chapter 3, does not seem far-fetched this year. And still God comes in insistent hope and steady love. The Trappist monk Thomas Merton puts it this way: into this world, this demented inn, and that's inn with two N's, I-N-N, this demented inn, in which there is absolutely no room for him at all, Christ has come uninvited. But because he cannot be at home in it, because he's out of place in it and yet must be in it, his place is with those others who do not belong. Christ is present in this world with those for whom there is no room. He's mysteriously present in those for whom there seems to be nothing but the world at its worst. So I've been paying attention to Bethlehem in the occupied West Bank these last few weeks. Usually it's crowded with tourists this time of year, but this year there are no tourists. The parade, the lights, the noisy celebrations have been canceled. But Christmas Eve is not canceled. And worship has been held there in the churches of Bethlehem all this day, long into the night, and may still be going on there even as we worship here in Cambridge. They don't deny the war or the destruction in Gaza. In fact, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Bethlehem, in their nativity scene, has a baby Jesus wrapped in a keffiyeh lying on a pile of rubble. They're well aware. And still, they tell the story, and they sing the carols, and they welcome Jesus' birth. In the Church of the Nativity, the place where tradition says Jesus' manger stood, usually there are tourists, again, but not this year, and so workers in Bethlehem are taking this opportunity for a restoration project on the floor of the sanctuary because there isn't anyone there for them to bother. Normally they'd never be able to do that this time of year, but this year they can. And hearing that gave me a metaphor for this season. There are so many trappings in our celebration of Christmas. Food and friends and family and lights and TV specials. So many things that become part of the joy of this season. But none of those are the point of this season, wonderful as they are. Hope. Unreasonable hope, persistent hope, unending hope is the reason for this season. In the face of the world's harsh realities, God is born among us. Loving and peacemaking and justice-seeking are the point of this season, even when, in fact, especially when, it seems that all is lost. My colleague Steve Garnetz-Holmes puts it this way. So often it seems we are so in the mood for Christmas, but then something awful happens and changes everything. But this is backwards. Difficulties are constant, awful things happen all the time, and then Christmas comes along and changes everything. Maybe this year, maybe in 2023, maybe this is the year for us to do some restoration work in what is most central for us at Christmas. Those trappings are wonderful, but they're not the point. Maybe this is the year that we remember that unto us a child is born. Unto us God is given, even right in the midst of the pain and the terror and the fear. A child cries in the night, watched over by a weary mother and a sleepy father, and a common gaggle of shepherds. And the baby's bed is a splintery manger, because that's exactly how God comes into our lives again and again. And so, my friends, this year may the deep joy of Christmas live in your hearts. May it find its way into the most difficult relationships, into the most woeful sickness, into the grind of war and poverty, into the calamity of climate change, into all of the daily indignities and frustrations of being human. May the deep joy of Christmas be born in you and take root and bloom. Because here and now, Christ is born.